I want to talk about some improvements that I did offline. Let's pull up the diff, no, not the diff, the log. So I fixed the ability, I fixed a couple of bugs. The gen server was actually crashing due to a couple of things. And let's go back to review them, going back in time, going back there to try to fix the crash. Okay, so there was an error in the snapshot, which was bringing down the event writer. And this was because the symbol, the atom here would already be used if you're using this in an ecto multi-insert. Because you're looping or mapping through the components, the component can be the string, the component dot type can be a string of position, rotation, scaling, etc. And by reusing this, the function would crash because it wants something different within. You don't want to reuse the key that's already in the multi. However, I made a mistake, and this should be component.type and component.name, so it continued to fail and crash. The other thing I did was I allowed the entity to actually be a mesh. So here I modified the scene manager where it's drawing the meshes to actually create a nice little flat box so that we could select it and move it like any other mesh in the scene, and that allows us to update the spawner's position and rotation, at least initially if it's initially loaded. Then I did a find or create mesh. Okay, so this allows the parsing of each individual thing. When the scene originally loads, we call initial parse entries, something like that. And for every entity in the scene, it was actually selecting enemy spawner in order to do nothing here, and everything else it would create a mesh for. But because we actually are creating a mesh for, I just have it find or create mesh on every kind of entity right now, because every kind of entity right now is a mesh. But speaking of which, I think that means that if we move the entity, we should calculate where we spawn to be the position of the entity and not where we originally loaded it from, which means that the nav mesh, as we sorry, not this nav manager has a list of agent manager has a list of agent spawn points, which here is a map of names and positions. And we actually don't need the position because we can just look up the position from its navigation. So this could be anything. So it could be anything. And when we create the agent spawn points, if we add agent spawn point, we can just set this to, so we don't need this, we just need the name. Just set this to true, I guess. And where are we setting add agent spawn point? This is in here whenever we're loading this, we are just putting this in a list, so we don't actually need its position here at least. When we're creating the component, when we're drawing the mesh, it will use the position to its advantage, but we don't actually need that for this part. Then when we actually create the agent, okay, random agent, let's see, create an agent, we're given the position here. So this can actually be a okay, I think we can just do this part. It can be position will be a vector 3. Position, that sets its position, and we'll set this to be a Babylon vector 3. And who calls create agent. This is called here when initially when we get the theme, so we get about agents. Yes, the gen server is keeping the location, so we will get agent position here, and we'll just create a Babylon dot vector 3 from an array. Create an agent there, and the second place we created is over here. We actually get an event like agent spawned in real time. The event will have this, and we'll just cast this to a Babylon vector 3 here, like so, from array. And what's creating this thing, this agent spawned business, is being set where? Agent spawned, that's for agent spawned, is created in the agent manager. In here, the start spawning business. Here's where we specify the position, and the position comes from, okay, so agent spawn points, the first one gives you a name now. It doesn't give you a position. And we want the keys. The agent key will give you the name, give you the first one. Agent name. Sorry, spawner name. And then out of this, you can find the mesh entity position, because if you have moved it, that thing now has a new endpoint. So it gives it one place that you have to update. You don't also have to update it here. And I think it's a good idea that it always has some visual representation of a spawn point. I think that's fine. It is the position, right? So we have to find the mesh. So this scene get mesh by name will be the spawner unique name, and then we get its position, which as an array, and this gives us the position. All right, hopefully no bugs there. Let's continue reviewing what we did. Let's see. Oh yes, I wanted to be able to pick that spawner, but since it was slightly below the nav mesh, I needed to set the pickable to be false on the nav mesh so that I could pick through it. And then there was another bug where this wasn't calculated for the into Atom for 8,000. So it was missing. That was crashing the website. And then we weren't. Okay, this is just a rename here. That's fine. Of a animation, doesn't matter. Then I had to mark the agent manager, the agent as targetable in order to be affected by any bullet anyway. Yeah, as I said, I had to fix this bug where it's called component type, not component name. This was crashing the event writer. And this is just a debug message here, non-essential. But this was crucial, is that in order, so our bullet was detecting the target for ourselves, but we do need to emit it for ourselves and everybody else in order to remove the target. So this new thing, this target hit, needed to be on incoming and outgoing. And here I forgot to actually call crowd remove agent. So now I think it is removed as an agent, so it stops moving, but it doesn't actually remove the mesh. So that's something we need to add. Let's remove the mesh as a first step. So agent manager, when we are okay, so if we remove the mesh, we need more information. So what are we storing about agents? We're storing the mesh here, reference to the mesh, and its transform. So we can remove the mesh and its transform. So agents, so if we want to delete the agent, let's get everything about this thing first. So const agent is this agent's agent name. Then the agent index would just be agent index. And then finally, yes, we'll delete that. But before that, we will dispose this crowd, oh no, sorry, this, no, agent dot mesh dot dispose agent dot transform dispose. So we'll just eliminate both of those. That should clear it up. So yeah, now I will go test it, but I think it should work out pretty well. And I think that concludes the changes that I made off camera, right? Incoming, outgoing. Oh yes, I just did this in order to launch a few more agents. We still need better logic. Oh yeah, let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing, which is the logic for moving these agents currently comes from this plan movement for all agents. And this actually, it still bursts a lot of individual agents. I think what we can do is change the message type to be a list of all the future places. It doesn't mean you have to animate them all together. You can maybe plan the delay for all of them to happen approximately at the same time. How will I do this? Let's see. Let's look at the types. So we have agent, an individual agent spawned. And let's say agents directed. Change this message. So is our server running? Yes. Oh no, it's not. Okay. Turn this on. We'll change this to agents directed. So I can get a whole list of future directions. This is a bit more optimized. Then I go to the types. And under agents directed, it will be the current position of an agent, the next position of an agent, and the name of an agent, but I will send you a list of all agents. So agents, and this will be a list of this object. Now, what is using the message? Let's look for agent directed and it's in two places. One is agent manager. So when we receive it, how should we react to it? But the producer is producing it here inside the plan movements. So currently this runs at some random time. Let's have it run at a consistent time. Once per second is probably plenty. And you'll just do this for every agent. Collect them, and then send all the positions as an array to the backend. It'll get broadcast to everybody, and then you'll update all the positions, but you get a choice of, in the client, to spread these out, but it's calculated all at once. Does that help? It reduces messages for sure. This will be a set interval. We'll get an agents list. So this agents is what now? It is an object, so we need to map over all the keys. So const agent names is object keys this. We can also have just done a for loop over object entries. Object entries, I think, will give us a map. Maybe we do that. Object entries. This will give us the, I think, an array of arrays. Let's check how this behaves. If we have an object like A is 1 and B is 2 and C is 3, and you do object entries, what does this return? An array of arrays. Yes, that's what I thought. Manage entries, then map over them, and in here you can destructure the agent name and agent whatever this is, agent index, mesh transform. Okay. And we want to return something. So I think we want to do this thing. We want to get all of this stuff. Copy, paste in here. So agent name. So it's not a random agent. We're just going to do it for all the agents. And this. Okay, we're not going to call ourselves. We're going to get the crowd agent position using, we can just say agent index, so this is the current position, and then get a random point around the current position within 3 meters. That'll be your next position. And then the payload was current. Let's see, what is the payload? Let me see what the type is again. Type is current position, next position, and the name. Okay. So we can return, the name is agent name, current position is this current position, and then current position and next position. And if we name it this way, we can just use it there. So we have this payload, and so this thing should be the payload. And so we can get rid of this. Okay. Future positions. And we say the payload is going to be agents directed, and you will give future positions agents, future positions. And then you'll pass that along to everyone. What's going on here? Agents. Let me look at this. Types. Agents. P. Agents. Name. Current position. I think we also need the delay. Some random delay before you do that. So maybe we need a delay, and this is a number. Okay, so then future positions is, oh yes, current position. Then we need a delay, so const delay equals math random between 0 and 1, multiply that between 0 and 1 millisecond, and that becomes the delay. Current position vector 3. Okay, these are vector 3s, and we need to say as array. Okay, hold on. Man. Alright, keep it this way then. Current position. And then this is current position here. And then say that the current position equals current position as array. And then that should make this happy. Good type checking, TypeScript. So then we're sending an array of all the future positions calculated all at once with the delay, and then we'll reconstruct it. So when we receive it, well, let's go through the gen server. So it's going to hit channel, space channel, and it's going to reach agent. Is there anything about agent, anything? Nothing here. So I think it's just passed through. This doesn't build a snapshot. Oh, no, it does. Oh, it does, but it doesn't do it here. It does it in space server. This one for agents directed. This is an event. And updated agents. So we have a state of agents, and we have a list. Well, that's annoying. So you're going to have to find in my list but what if we don't send it as a list? What if we sent it as an object? That could work just as well. Rewind just a bit. Go back to the types. So instead of the payload, we could give it still agents, but instead of a list, we can just take an object where the name is not the string, the key is name of string, and then it's an object with all of these things here. Whoops, undo. Where did I go wrong here? So this one and that. I have an extra one here. I need one more. One more right there. Okay, we're good. Go back to the producer of agents directed, which is over here. Okay, so we're not going to map over them anymore. Right, this agent is actually that's what I want. Yeah, we're gonna map over them. Okay, so the map is a complete thing, but I'm going to reduce the map into an object. So we'll just do agents is future positions, which is some kind of array. Reduce into some function given an initial object, and the thing that I take is some accumulator, and then some mini payload temp. And I want to just return. Actually, I don't think I should put that here. I this thing to work that hard. I can just reduce here. Reduce, and I want to return the accumulator. And when I say the accumulator and temp dot name equals current position, next position, and the delay. Okay. I guess we can just don't have to cast these. We'll do a little bit of casting here so we don't have to do this. And call this next position. Like this is fine. So we do current position, next position, like that. Finally, we must massage it like current position becomes temp, current position, next position becomes temp, next position. And delay is temp delay, temp delay. That goes into the accumulator for the name, reduce, and then we say future positions, and that seems current, next, and delay. Current, next, and delay. Okay. So we send that to space server, and we want to handle this case where we are now getting an object of agents. So we're going to get the thing we really care about here is the event, which has a P, and this thing says agents, and we'll call this agents. And now we want to loop through this object with name and value, and then reduce over the current state. So I think what we want to do is enum reduce over the enumerable, which is agents, and you're going to take a function that returns the agent name and the agent, and what's the initial value for the accumulator will be the state agents. And the function, how do I scroll down a little bit? Reduce over accumulator. Okay, element. This is the element, and then this is the accumulator, like so. What's the yellow line mean? Agent name is unused, blah blah blah. Okay. And so we want to return the new accumulator, having modified this. And what is agents? Agents was a list. Why did we make it a list though? I really want to use an object. An object, so I don't have to go and do a find. It's easier to pluck an object out of this. Yeah, okay, where are we referencing agents here? I believe it's just this agent spawn and agent directed, and maybe agent deleted. Oh yeah, we gotta have a way to remove agents from the gem server. Let's just about that next. Okay, no worries. Agents, initial state. What is the agents? Okay, you're an empty object now. You're an empty object. Reminder, when you pass about agents, about agents needs to use object, not array. Phew. Okay, so we have this initially, and then we handle new agents. So when you come in here, you'll do a map put of this thing. Map dot put into state agents. The key will be event name, and then the value will be the position that we have. Map put this, and there. Good. And handle cast, given that we're getting something about all the agents, and then we want to reduce over the agents that we're getting in and the agents that we have. And we're simply updating them to their current position. So then we need to return the accumulator. And the accumulator is an object. So then we do map dot put into the accumulator, which is an object. It's a map, that is. And then we're going to put agent name is the key, and the value will be position, and then because this thing is it'll be agent dot position, current position. So that should update that. This gives us back a new agents map. So this should be updated agents, and then we simply use it here. Okay, so that handles the back end. We probably need to handle cast agent removed. Handle agent removed at some point. Okay, but we need to handle that array business. So where do we send the about agents? Well, that happens in space channel, I suppose. About agents, and we send agents space server agents. What does this do? This returns agents, calls colon agents, handle call agents. It returns this, which would return the map. And that actually returns everything I want, so it's an object. So then handle about agents. So in the signal hub, let's see, space channel. It'll get that pushed to us. Agent signal hub receives agents, and it thinks it's an array here, but it's not. In fact, it will be nothing but name pointing to a position, which is a number. And that's all you get. Name, position, number. And in the agent manager, when we handle this about agents, we're getting agents, which is an object. Actually, you'll get the whole payload. So this will be, yes, it'll be that. And then we just need to go through object entries and create an agent for every one. So object entries of agents, and then for each, the function, which is an array of arrays, and the first element will be the agent name, and everyone else will be a agent. Which is an object, this will be a string, and then we can call create agent using the agent name and agent position there. So that should work. And finally, we also need to consume the new agent's directed message. So rather than moving it immediately, we will go through the object entries again. So we'll get agents directed. And this event, agents directed, okay, this event is, it can't tell here. So we want to decompose the object. It's going to have the P key Alright, let's just say event. The thing that we want is the agents. So const agents equal event P, and then here we're getting agents, which is an object, and it's got all that other business, right? This is the thing we're setting here, right? An object with name and current position, next position, delay. Where are we? So agent index is this agent's and agent's name. Okay, we want to go through all of them. We want to go through all of them. So object, I guess we can use a for. And for const the agent name and the agent const in object entries agents. Is that how you use in const for? JS object entries for of. There you go. Now you're dealing with each individual agent, and what's in here? Does it know? It doesn't know. Okay, so we gotta cut and do some of this. So we have an agent index, so this agent, we get agent name, agent index, okay, and then we have a destination, which is from agent next position, and that's it. We just need to know that, and then we can tell them to go to, but we'll tell them to go to it using a bit of a delay. So we'll just do time, set timeout. Put this in and use agent delay. So we used everything except current position, name. Yeah, we didn't use current position here, but that's fine. So that will kind of simulate some randomness there, sending it to all these places at that time. And it could fight a little bit, wouldn't it? But it should have elapsed by the time we get the next one, because it's on a 1 second cycle interval to calculate positions that are less than 1 second. So I think it might be okay. Shall we try it? Let's give it a try. Getting a lot of errors. Reading undefined agent index of orchestrator. Okay. Whoa. What's our backend doing? Our backend is doing a ton of stuff. Stop. Insert into event streams. Okay, current position. Okay. I think we're sending a wrong kind of object. As array. Okay, something needed to be sent as array. And Is this the agent name? I mean, it could be. Okay, but this is definitely the wrong kind of thing in there. Okay, let's go to where we're creating the message. Agents directed. So this is where we're planning it. So this current position is a vector 3. Next position is also a vector 3. Vector 3 in here, and oh yes, current position as array, next position as array. Now we're good, hopefully. Go to the server, and we'll just refresh this. Okay, still a bunch of errors. What's going on here? Cannot, okay. Examine this. Okay, we're certainly getting a lot of agents in here. Quite a bit of agents. And these numbers are a bit big, so let's truncate them. That's one thing to do. Let me close that. Forgot to truncate these spaces that were forward. So let's import from utils. We want, what is it we have in here? Let's take a look. Reduce significant figures of an array. Array reduce sig figs. Yep. Yeah, I think we want that. So we'll set this create agent. Spawn, now start playing. Okay. Okay, let's say that this array reduce sig figs around this. Of course. And array reduce sig figs around this. And let's also do let's just do reduce sig figs around this. Okay, so that will at least reduce the count of it. Now in the front end, it was erring on, I forget what it was. Let's just check what the error is. Cannot read properties undefined 0 math vector in here. Is create agent from agent position. Okay, so the about agents is screwing up. Okay. Let's go to the processing in the front end about agents. And take a look. Okay, incoming on about agents. agent name, and yes, agent. Okay, let's comment this out and just console log what this is. Console log agents. Also console log agent name and agent here. Alright, agents is it's an object, sure, with agent's key, and then this was okay, this is not what I expected. Agents, and then this doesn't have anything in it. What's going on? I think we passed in the wrong thing here. Cancel. About agents. Space channel, when we push this, oh, this is pushing an agent's key on it. Okay, so this does have an agent's key on it. Sure, fine. Then in the front end, incoming about agents. So this is the wrong kind of message. Then we need to change the type of this. So then have agents is an object with agents, and then this object. Okay, then this incoming about agents is this kind of type. Oh wait, why do I have agents in there twice? Oh yes. No, let's call this something else. Let's call this payload. Payload is an object with an agent's key. So then object entries on payload.agents. That should look a lot better. Whoa, what is going on there? Whoa. Cannot read properties of undefined reading agent index from agent manager. Show me. Set timeout. This is on the event agents directed. All right, hold off on the agent directed bit. Okay, so one thing at a time. Let's do, yeah, agent manager down to the bit. Okay, let's just go to the scene manager and this thing. Start spawning. Okay, don't plan any movement yet. Let's handle start spawning first. And don't spawn anything yet either. Okay, can we manage to not crash? No Chrome again. Okay, something is crashing. It keeps saying I'm the leader. What is happening? Expected a map got error not found. In maps merge, error not found. Oh, this is around maps merge. So created a different kind of error in space channel merge state. Okay. Expected a map where? Payload get state. So this is right on member entered. We're crashing. Bad map error. Expected a map got error not found on what? Merge state. Map has a key called member states. So you're in merge state and your map that you're providing is not a map. You need to say is map. How do we do a guard? Elixir guard. When is map. Merge state. And pause rod is also needs to be this needs to be a tuple. No, it's a map. When is map pause rod? Error not found for okay. Oh, that's here. So it has a key, but when you do get state, it's not found. This because the gen server is loading up, and before we can actually create the ets table, you're sending a member entered. Now, why isn't the table there? I want to know whether the table is set up in a gen server. After join, but as soon as we enter here, oh no, the ets refs are part of the space server. So maybe something on that crashed. Let's try again. We'll grab this and just attempt to start the server. Space supervisor dot start space with a space ID. Should be started now. No events, no crashing, and if I want the summary, space server summary of the space ID, I do have these two things here, so I'm good. Now when I go to the space, enter, and I'm still okay. And immediately I'm crashing. Okay, so I got connected to the user socket, member entered, terminating, maps merge. So this is okay, but this is not found. Okay, so it's in the code for the merge state business. Merge state close the browser. I'm going to start this up again. That's alive. And I'm going to ask it to merge state. That calls get state space channel get state. So member ID Oh, right. We can't merge it because there is no state yet for the member ID. So any state that I give, even if I have the, all right, let's see what get state gives you. Get state. Yeah, it will do this. And that's because member entered used to do something else. I was doing the cache member entered, and I was upserting that. Member entered, update pause rot, or merge state needs to do something else, which merge state. So case. Case this, and you get, what is it? You get error, anything, error, whatever, not found, sure. Let's just insert it. So then we do, yeah, that's insert, member ID, and the map is the state. Whoa! Member ID and the map itself becomes the state. Otherwise, you get the state, and you'll just merge this. In fact, you can just say that the hold on, what was payload? Hold on, let me just get diff. You change a whole bunch of things, particularly around yeah, merge state stuff, payload. Okay, get state is the payload. Okay, let this be the payload. And that just merges into payload. So actually you can just I like state better, and then just say map dot merge state with the map. This one, this should fix that error, because you cannot merge something that does not have a previous state. And we do not need this stuff. that fixes merge state, and update this. This is always a insert, never a merge, so this should be fine. And so if I just restart the server, at least that constant crashing should stop. I'm the leader once. Great. All right, now what do we want to do? We want to do leader duties. Start spawning and start moving. Okay, again we see this thing. I guess this is the part of the incoming on event for agents directed. So let's kill this, and let me just not do anything, but it's the incoming for the agent manager. Incoming. Let's see what we get in terms of about agents. In the first place, we're not getting any agents, but in the second place, we want to say incoming spawn event, and we want to just split this thing out. Yes, I think we have the wrong index here. So this thing should actually have an agent. Actually, let's see what it says. Incoming spawn event 7, and the P is name and position. Incoming spawn event goes to, okay, this looks fine. What is this? (7100) event name 710, the agents to redirector. Yeah, every second. It just doesn't have any agents. Yeah, don't send it if you don't have any agents. Agents directed. Okay, if first of all, you gotta make sure that the agents is not empty. If object keys this agent's length greater than 0, or how about less than 1? Just return early. Next, look at that incoming thing again. Incoming. Yeah, agents directed. Incoming spawn event. This should work, right? This agent. It should spawn them. Can we spawn? Spawn worked. Cannot read. So where is this happening? This is happening in, again, incoming event on agents directed. Okay. Okay, let's look at the payload. Agents directed. Let's look at the payload first. Console log agents directed, and tell me what this is. This is going to be JSON stringify event. Just want to look at it. Well, agents directed still has MP and then agents. Duh. P agents. And what was it? Agents is an object with all of that. Current position, next position, delay. Yes. So what's wrong with this? Okay, nothing. So agents is that agents. Then we go in here for every one of these. Let's not set any timeout yet. Let's just see. Console log agent name and agent. And then don't console log that. How long is this? God, 1.5 hours. Spawn is okay. So we're getting all of these messages. And current, next, and delay. Okay. So is it possible you get an agents directed signal before you get an about. I don't know, but agents can stop this. Let's see if we can get an agent index. This is the thing I think that breaks. Agent index is this agent's, then you get the okay, agent name. Agent name here. Then we get the agent index. Maybe that's the issue. That could be the whole issue. Let's try it. We didn't console log it, but it didn't error. It didn't run off the array, so I think that's the issue. All right, we enable this and put this in here. Destination, go to after a delay. Don't need this. Great. Start moving. Much more natural kind of movement. Pretty cool. If I just refresh this, we should get double the amount of agents. No, we didn't. What about about? Did we get about? About agent? So these agents are already here. What happens when Firefox joins? No, we don't get the previous agents. Agent's name. Okay, so we didn't get about agents. We're missing the about agents message. So we need to do a sanity check here. First of all, this has to exist. So don't need to set timeout. We can see if this agent has an agent by this name, then do this. No sense in doing this if you can't find it in the error. But we also miss the about agents. It's supposed to send us one of these and we did not get one. Push about agent. So when do we do this? We do this on after join. About members, about agents. And who gets to process about agents? It is, oh, did I comment that out? I did comment that out. We need to do this. Create this agent. Coming back into Chrome. Whoa. Open up Firefox. I can't tell if they're synchronized. Are we actually getting them moving around the same spaces? Let's get up higher. Seems like we aren't. Well, kind of. No, we're missing some. Some of them aren't getting messages. And in fact, I don't think the index is created correctly. I don't think we should hide that error. We should say else console.error missing agent for, and then the agent name. So on Chrome, I'm going to spawn, and then over here we should get all the agents. Interesting, I'm not getting any errors. How many agents do you have over here? So here we have scene manager dot agent nav manager agent manager agents let's do object keys. So we have all these agents, and then should copy that over here. Dot length 15. Dot length 14. I'm disappointed it isn't performing how I want it to. So anyway, we fixed some bugs. I will continue making improvements on this.